What is up, GT gang? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new, I'm Mojo GT, and today we are working, let's focus, on the 426 Hemi. This is the final time we'll be taking off the timing cover. Basically, what happened was, unfortunately, Melling released a high volume oil pump for the 6157 pre-Eagle engines. So, that being said, considering all the problems for this engine in terms of lifter damage or where they eat the cam lobes, a lot of that actually comes from low oil volume at low RPMs. So if you get a high pressure oil pump, you're only increasing the pressure across the board, not actually increasing volume. So what I did to combat that was buy a Melling high volume oil pump, and I don't know if I have the box to that, but I apologize, you can get it off Melling's website. So what we're going to be doing today is removing idler, tensioner, alternator, pulling the timing cover back off, and I have to replace the front main seal. Right here, here's the part number for that, guys. It's timing cover seal. That seals against the snout of the crank, and we'll be installing our ATI super damper, part number 918432. It's a 5% overdrive. This is what Procharged recommends to run when you are looking for a little bit more boost from your engine. So we're gonna go ahead and get started, guys. We're gonna remove alternator and idler, tensioner, and just go from there. Throw you guys on a time lapse. You know how we do it. Let's get it. Okay, guys, so what I did was wipe the surface off, prepped this, wiped it with alcohol, and then with the timing cover, I installed the new front main seal. I also clearanced a little bit more for the double roller timing chain, cleaned off all the RTV with my rotary tool, wiped it down with alcohol, blew it out with air, installed the new seal, wiped it with alcohol again. We're about to reinstall it. But first, I'm going to dab some RTV around the gasket mating surface on the block side and then install it. So it should be pretty straightforward. I'll throw you guys on a time lapse and we'll get it all thrown back in. Okay, guys, so we have the engine obviously rotated over, and we prepped the gasket mating surface, already applied RTV. Sam's going to point you. Basically, you'll just have RTV on your four corners where your timing cover meets and where your oil or your rear main seal meets. So we're going to throw that on and throw you guys on a time lapse again.
No one ever sees me, I'm losing every battle. No one ever sees me, I'm losing every battle. No one ever sees me, I'm losing every battle. Can somebody save me?
All right, boys. This harmonic balancer pulley, putting it in with this like $50 Craftsman impact wrench. So we've got about halfway there. It sucked it all the way down to 60 psi. So we're gonna celebrate pretty damn good if we get to run this bad boy in here so we don't have to borrow somebody else's. So NASCAR, baby. Yeah! Come on! Come on! Come on! Come on! Yeah! That's it. So it may seem that my videos are out of order here, but I had a lot of oil pump and timing chain issues, and I promise I'll explain this more in more videos, especially when I tell you in this next video that I'll have a separate video strictly on why you should not run a double roller timing chain set, at least the problems that I had. So just bear with me, guys. The rest of the video might start out confusing, but it'll make more sense as you get through. And in this video, I won't actually throw in the oil pump that I will use. I won't be using the high volume oil pump, but just stay tuned, guys. You will see exactly what oil pump I do end up running. Basically, Melling screwed up a few times, and I just wasn't gonna run the high volume oil pump. So just stay tuned, guys. It'll all make sense. So I've got a little update for you guys. I'm actually gonna swap out the double roller timing chain set. I'm making an entire video on why you should not run a double roller timing chain set, because it's a 10-minute description in itself. Basically what happened was you drive your balancer hub on, and because the oil pump is spaced out, you jam your balancer into your oil pump, cracking these alignment fins. So that's a very short explanation of why not to get it, or why that happened, or why I had to buy a new one. But I do have the new one. I'm going to go ahead and prime it right now, fill it with some lubricant or oil, and we're going to remove the double roller, install the OEM set, and put everything back together. Let's get it. Okay, so a little bit of good news here. As you can see, I don't have a timing set installed. So, factory 5761 factory cranks in general are flat at the start of the snout. You can't tell just by looking at it, but there is a slight chamfer to that. On a factory crank, you can definitely tell that is flat. So on the factory timing sets, you know what they have? Let me show you. I have one out of my my 6.1 from back in the day. This was actually the very first timing set that I took off of my 6.1 when I first took it apart. So this is what it's going to look like. Let's get you guys a better look. This is what a factory one looks like. Flat, as you can tell, as it should be from factory. We need to have this bevel chamfer on the sprocket, so that when we go to install this, boom, perfect, flat. The problem is when I put the one that's flat on, it doesn't sit flush. It stops a little bit before, right where the chamfer started. So I called up old trusty Uncle Art, crazy mad scientist uncle. I love him. Thank you. Shout out to Uncle Art. And said, hey man, I can't run my double roller timing chain set, and I need a chamfer added to my crank sprocket for my OEM set. This is what we came up with. Let's see. So we have a chamfer added to the OEM set that identically matches the double roller sprocket. So shout out to Uncle Art and his infinite wisdom. Thank you so much. This slides on, and it's a lot tighter than factory because we have a lip on the OEM crank sprocket, and we have a raised lip on the crank snout. So it's going to take a little bit of pressure, more than what you'd think, to get this thing on. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on and put the timing set on and show you what it looks like. Here we are. As you can see, fits flush, right where it should be. We'll throw the chain on and then button everything up. Since it was a little bit harder to push on this crank sprocket, what I'm going to do is, obviously you can tell, usually you would have your crank sprocket, oil pump drive gear, and cam sprocket on at once, slide it on. But since it's a little bit tougher than what it should be, or at least what factory is intended, I'll make sure I have a little bit of lubricant where the sprocket's going to ride on the gear. Engine assembly lube, slide it down here. Make sure that your chain is in the guide. Apologize for the noise in the background. It's my garage door. Line up the timing mark on the chain, just like that. Slide the cam gear right on the place. Cam bolt, not ARP, just factory bolt. Now we will torque this down to spec, and I can relieve this gear. Tensioner, I can't grab that with my slippery hands. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this pin, torque that to spec, and we're good to go, guys. I'm super stoked. Let's get it. Okay, so here goes nothing. I'm going to have to lift up. Typically, I like to push down, but... So as I rotate this over, I'm going to have chain exposed right here. And what I have is this assembly glue. This will help a lot on initial startup. Since I am running low on this assembly stuff, typically I would just use this. But I'm running a little bit low, and I want to use some later. So I'm going to put this on the chain. It breaks down on first startup, okay? So it's not a big deal at all. It works very, very well. You can use this stuff in transmissions as well. It breaks down. You don't need to go overboard, but I don't know how long this is going to sit until I actually do start it up. So it doesn't hurt. Spinning over great. I'm really happy so far. Over and over and over until the entire chain is properly lubricated. She gonna be good, boys. She gonna be good. So now that I have this rotated over as much as I'd like, it doesn't matter that my timing marks are not aligned. So what I like to do to torque the cam sprocket bolt, I just have my crank bolt in, impact. Shout out to Brandon for letting me use that. And since we're going to be tightening it this way, we need to have opposing pressure on the crank so that we can torque this to 90 foot-pounds. So I'll go ahead and do that. There we go. 90 foot-pounds, just like that. Now we can go ahead and impact this back off, get everything back on, oil pump, timing cover, and then we can drive our harmonic balancer back on. So I know this video ends kind of abruptly, so I do apologize for that. But like I said, stay tuned, guys. I'm going to start editing a video right away on timing chain and oil pump issues, or at least you saw a little bit of the timing chain stuff today, so that's pretty much solved. But the as far as the timing chain video goes, I will upload that, and then in the next building a 426 or Procharged 426 Hemi video will include the oil pump problem that I had. So stay tuned, guys. I really appreciate all the support, and I'll see you next time. Peace.